Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. Right now, my room is a mess, and please ignore it. Also, please ignore any sounds you hear outside of my door. Some people are still sick, some people feel sick, some people are coughing, some people are making noises like that, if you heard that, clearing your throat. So, I apologize, but this is like the only place I can make a video right now. So, today, I figured I would continue on the book Spooksville based off a comment I saw. Right now, I'm actually currently writing, and it really helps to read when you write because you can find different words, you can find inspiration and all that. But before I go into an endless series of discussions and ramblings, I'm just going to hop right in here. Gently take off the book cover. I always take off the book cover. So, if I remember correctly, or if I remember, I will try to link somewhere here or over there the first video to this, because I'm not going to be starting the book. I already did that, and I got to page 11. Okay, here we go. Let's see. So if you want to watch the first part, click on the link. I left off on page 11, but I'm just going to start at the very beginning of the sentence, which is on page 10, to make sure I'm not skipping over anything. Last month, she was there all alone, flying her kite, when a huge gust of wind came along and blew her into the sky. Blew her right into a dark cloud, which swallowed her whole. Can you believe that? No, Sally was exasperated. I'm not lying. I may be confused about my personal values at the moment, but the truth is still very important to me. If she was flying the kite all alone in the park, how do you know what happened to her? Who told you? Watch. Watch what? No, not what. Watch is a who. Who's Watch? You'll meet him, and before you get worried, I want you to know that our relationship is not and never has been romantic. We're just good friends. I'm not worried, Sally. She hesitated. Good. Watch saw Leslie disappear into the sky. He wasn't in the park, but in the cemetery. So you see, technically, Leslie was in the park all alone. It sounds to me like your friend Watch has a vivid imagination. That's true. He can't see very well either, but he's not a liar. What was he doing in the cemetery? Oh, he hangs out there a lot. He's one of the few kids who lives here who enjoys Spooksville. He loves mystery and adventures. If he wasn't so weird, I'd be attracted to him. I like mystery and adventures, Adam said proudly. Sally was impressed. Then you can camp out in the cemetery. With Watch and tell me what it's like. She stuck out her arm, pointing. That's not your house down the street with the chubby nerd on the front lawn? Yes, and that chubby nerd is my father. Sally put her hand to her mouth. Oh no. He's not that bad, Adam said defensively. No, I'm not upset about your father's appearance, although you're going to have to watch your diet and the amount of TV you watch as you get older. It's your house that's no good. What's wrong with it? Don't tell me someone was murdered there. Sally shook her head. They weren't murdered. Well, that's a relief. They killed themselves. Sally nodded seriously. It was an odd couple. No one knows why they did it. They must have been going through an identity crisis. They just hung themselves from the chandelier. We don't have a chandelier. They were fat, old people. The chandelier broke when they strung themselves up with the ropes. Someone told me they didn't leave any money for a proper funeral. Their bodies are supposed to be buried in your basement. We don't have a basement. Sally nodded. The police had to fill it in case you found the bodies. Adam sighed. Oh, brother. Do you want to meet my father? Yes, just don't ask me to stay for lunch. I'm a picky eater. Somehow, I'm not surprised, Adam said. And now we are in chapter 3, coffee break. His mom and dad were very impressed with Sally. Adam was surprised to see. Of course, Sally kept her remarks to a minimum and her identity crisis private while she spoke to them. Sally did not have an opportunity to meet Claire, Adam's 7-year-old sister, because she was asleep on the floor in one of the back bedrooms. His father hadn't set up the beds yet. From the way he was hobbling around, holding his lower spine as if he were a monkey with a sore tail, he looked like he needed one. His father winked at Adam and told him to go out and play with Sally. He said that neither of them would be doing any more heavy lifting that day. Adam didn't know what the wink was supposed to mean. He was interested in Sally, not as a girlfriend. He had no desire to have a girlfriend before 7th grade. But school didn't start for another 3 months, so he had the whole summer full of monsters to look forward to. Not that he believed a word Sally told him. "Let me show you the town," Sally said as they stepped out of his front door. "But don't be deceived by what you see. This place looks perfectly normal, but it's not. For example, you might see a young mother walk by, wheeling her newborn infant. She might smile at you and say hello. She might look real, and her baby might look cute. But there's always the possibility that the young mother is responsible for the disappearance of Leslie Lott, and that her baby is a robot." "I thought you said a cloud swallowed Leslie." "Yeah, but who was in the cloud?" These are the kind of questions you have to ask yourself this afternoon as you check out the scene. Adam was getting wary of Sally's warnings. "I don't believe in robots. There are no robots. That's a simple fact." Sally raised a know-it-all eyebrow. Nothing is simple in Spooksville. Springsville, Adam refused to think of it by any other name, was tiny. Nestled between 2 gentle sets of hills on the north and south, it had the ocean to the west. To the east, a range of rough hills rose sharply. Adam was inclined to call them mountains. Naturally, Sally said there were many bodies buried in those hills. Most of the town was set on a slope that only leveled out as it neared the water. Close to the shore, at the end of the rocky point, stood a tall lighthouse that looked out over the hard blue water as if in search for adventures. Sally explained that the water in and around Springsville wasn't safe either. "Lots of riptides and undertows," she said. "Sharks too. Great whites. I knew a guy. He was out on his boogie board, only 100 feet from the shore, and a shark swam by and bit his right leg off. Just like that. If you don't believe me, you can meet him. His name's David Green, but we call him Jaws." This story had a ring of truth to it, at least. "I don't like to swim at all that much, Adam muttered. Sally shook her head. "You don't even have to go in the water to have problems. The crabs come right up on the sand to nibble on you," she added. "We don't have to go to the beach right now, if you don't want to." "Another time might be better," Adam agreed. They did head in the direction of the water, though. Sally wanted to show him the arcade next to the movie theater, which she said was owned by the local undertaker. Apparently it showed only horror movies. The theater and the arcade were located next to the pier, which Sally said was about as safe as a single plank set above boiling lava. Along the way, they passed a supermarket. Parked out front was a black Corvette convertible with the top down. Adam wasn't into cars, but he thought Corvettes were cool. They looked like rockets. He stared at the car as they strode by, for a moment, blocking out Sally's rambling. Like so much of Spooksville, the market parking lot was built on a hill. Adam was shocked to see that his shopping cart had slipped loose from its place near the front doors and was heading for the car. He hated to think of such a beautiful car getting a dent in it, and jumped forward to stop the cart. Sally screamed behind him. "Adam," she cried, "don't go near that car." But she was too late with her warning. He stopped, the shopping cart only inches from the car door, feeling as if he had done his good deed for the day. He noticed that Sally was still standing where he had left her. She seemed afraid to approach the vehicle. As he started to move the cart to a safe place, a soft yet mysterious voice spoke at his back. "Thank you, Adam. You have done your good deed for the day." He turned toward the most beautiful... I thought it was a guy, sorry. "Thank you, Adam. You have done your good deed for the day." He turned toward the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. She was tall, most adults were. Her black hair was long and curly, her eyes so dark and big, they were like mirrors that opened only at night. Her face was very pale, white as a statue's, her lips as red as fresh blood. She wore a white dress that swept past her knees. In her hands, she carried a small white purse. She must have been in her late 20s, but seemed ageless. It was a warm day, yet she had on gloves as red as her lips. She smiled at his shocked expression. "You wonder how I know your name," she said. "Isn't that so, Adam?" He nodded, dumbstruck. She took a step closer. "There isn't much that happens in this town that I don't know about," she said. "You just arrived today, isn't that so?" He found his voice. "Yes, ma'am." She chuckled softly. "How do you like Spooksville so far?" He stuttered. "I thought only kids called it Spooksville." She took another step forward. "There are a few grown-ups who know its real name. You'll meet another one today. He'll tell you things you might not want to listen to, but that will be up to you." She glanced at her car, then at the shopping cart still in his hand, and her smile broadened. "I give you this warning because you have done me a favor this day, protecting my car. That was valiant of you, Adam." "Thank you, ma'am." She chuckled again, removing her gloves. "You have manners. That is rare among the young in this town." She paused. "Do you think that is one of the reasons they have so many problems?" Adam gulped. "What kind of problems?" The woman looked in the direction of Sally. "I'm sure your friend has already told you many frightening things about this town. Don't believe half of them. Of course, the other half you might want to believe." She paused as if sharing a private joke with herself. Then she waved at Sally. "Come here, child." Sally approached reluctantly and then stood close to Adam. She was so close he noticed she was shaking. The woman studied her up and down and frowned. "You don't like me," she said finally. Sally swallowed. "We're just out walking." You're just out talking." She pointed a finger at Sally. "You watch what you're talking about. Every time you say my name, child, I hear it. And I remember. Do you understand?" Sally was still shaking, but a sudden stubbornness hardened her features. "I understand very well. Thank you." "Good. How's your castle keeping these days?" Sally asked sarcastically. "Any cold drafts?" The woman's frown deepened. Then unexpectedly, she smiled. Adam would have said it was a cold smile if it hadn't been so enchanting. This woman held him spellbound. "You're insolent, Sally," she said, "which is good. I was insolent as a child." She paused. "Until I learned better." She glanced at Adam. "You know I have a castle?" "No, I didn't know," Adam said. He liked castles, although he'd never seen one, much less been inside one. "Would you like to visit me there someday?" the woman asked. "No," Sally said suddenly. Adam glared at Sally. I can answer for myself, he said. Sally shook her head. You don't want to go there. Kids who go there, they what? The woman interrupted. Sally wouldn't look at her now, only at Adam. Sally seemed to back down. Coffee break. It's not a good idea to go there, was all Sally said. The woman reached out and touched the side of Adam's face. Her fingers were warm, soft. They didn't feel dangerous, yet Adam trembled beneath them. The woman's eyes, as she stared at him, seemed to pierce to the center of his brain. Nothing is the way it looks, she said gently. Nobody is just one way. When you hear stories about me, perhaps from this skinny girl here, perhaps from others, I know that they're only partially true. Adam had trouble speaking. I don't understand. You will, soon enough, the woman said. Her fingernails, they were quite long and so red, brushed close to his eyes, almost touching his lashes. You have such nice eyes. Did you know that, Adam? She glanced over at Sally. And you have such a nice mouth. Sally gave a fake smile. I know that. The woman chuckled softly and drew back. Reaching out and opening her car door, she glanced back at them one last time. I will see both of you later. Under different circumstances, she said. Then she got into her car, waved once, and drove away. Sally was ready to throw a fit. Do you know who that was? She exclaimed. No, Adam said, still recovering from the shock of meeting the woman. She didn't tell me her name. That was Miss Ann Templeton. She's the great-great-great-granddaughter of Miss Madeline Templeton. Who's that? The woman who founded this town about 200 years ago. A witch, if ever there was one. Witchery runs in her family. The woman you just met is the most dangerous creature in all of Spooksville. Nobody knows how many kids she killed. She seemed nice. Adam, she's a witch. There are no nice witches except in the Wizard of Oz. And one thing Spooksville sure doesn't have is a yellow brick road. You have to stay away from that woman, or you'll end up as a frog chirping in the stagnant pond behind the cemetery. Adam had to shake himself to clear his brain. It was almost as if the woman had cast a spell on him, but a pleasant spell, one that made him feel warm inside. How did she know my name? He muttered out loud. Sally was exasperated. Because she's a witch. Get a grip on reality, would you? She probably just had to look in a big pot filled with boiling livers and kidneys to know everything about you. Why, I wouldn't be surprised if she sent that shopping cart flying toward her car just so you could run over and stop it. Just so she could stop and bewitch your tiny little mind. Are you listening to me, Mr. Kansas City? Adam frowned. The shopping cart wasn't flying. It never left the ground. Sally raised her arms toward the sky. The kid has to see a broom fly across the sky before he'll believe in witches. Well, that's just great. Be that way. Get yourself changed into something gross and disgusting. I don't care. I have problems of my own. Sally, why are you always yelling at me? Because I care. Now let's get out of here. Let's go to the arcade. It's pretty safe there. None of the games are haunted? Adam asked to tease her. Sally stopped to give him another one of her impatient looks. And I believe we are on... Nope. A couple of games are haunted, she said. You just can't put quarters in them. Of course, knowing you, you'll head straight for them. I don't know, Adam said. My dad wanted his change back from when I bought the Cokes. I don't have any money. Then thank your dad for a small favor, Sally said. Okay, so that was We are on page 24. I'm going to stop there, but I thank you for watching. I couldn't do a long one today. I don't think the first one was very long either. But we are now on chapter 4 of page 25. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And hopefully I can continue this. Because usually I don't really know what to make a video about. And I might as well have something to not talk about, but to read. So thank you for watching. Alright, bye guys.